Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Yael Shafir Garibi and I help women give birth to their dreams. For over 50 years I have been a fertility psychotherapist and I am the creator of a therapy method called the Beybltherapy. In my lecture I would like to briefly introduce you to Beybltherapy as a therapeutic method that combines existentialistic principles of psychotherapy with the healing secret found in the Torah stories. Great Britain, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks said, when monotheism gave life meaning, it redeemed life from the tragedy because tragedy was defeated by hope. In a world where we believe God exists, the first insight is the existence of relationship. There is God, there is me, and there is a relationship. The relationship is shaped by the belief that it in itself casts hope on one's soul. The Jewish spiritual way is a path of man in the journey between the conscious and the unconscious, and from there to divinity, or what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. The Torah is filled with human journey stories that describe this spiritual way in which the therapeutic quality of the power of faith is interwoven. One of the most important ideas of the existentialistic theory is that the process of human development, rather than the practical result of this process, is the important dramatic move, the core of human life. Beybltherapy concentrates on the process of developing the patient through connecting to metaphorically rich stories found in the Torah. This process allowed the conscious to reshape the unconscious through the power of faith. In order to illustrate the nature of Beybltherapy, I will present you the case of Anat, pseudonym, whose therapy was based on one of the most famous stories in the Torah, the story of the first mother in Judaism, Sarah Imenu, who teaches us how to realize our potential by identifying and overcoming the fear of change through faith. Anat, married, 30 years old, married for 7 years, come for therapy after 6 years of unsuccessful fertility treatments. She has been informed by the best fertility expert that the possibility of having a child is nil. Anat wants the session to allow her to gather mental powers to continue the process, and if she does not succeed, she wants to make peace with an adoption procedure. In the first session, Anat described her personal journey during the 6 years of treatment. She often described the facts presented by her physicians, her difficulty in conceiving as a result of a serious illness she suffered at age 16 that impaired her fertility. Anat has trouble accepting the evil of the decree. I tell her about Sarah. The Torah presents Sarah, our mother, in a special way. She is the first mother, the mother of our nation, and at the first time we meet her in the story, it is presented as follows. And Sarai was barren. She has no child. Anat listens and says, I am the modern Sarah. I also feel destined. Someone outside me wrote my story. Our starting point is similar. There is no way I get pregnant. And at the same time, I hope that my story will end as hers does. My dream as a child was to be a mother to 5 children, and here I am, facing a reality dictated by my body, and after all the doctor's appointment and tests and diagnosis, I lost hope. And I think that only a miracle will help me. Sarah has God, and me. What do I have? Because God and God messengers appear in Sarah's story, it seems to us that it is a miracle. The subject of miracles in the Torah is fascinating. The Torah is miraculous, and yet in the entire Torah, the word miracle does not appear. For many years, I have been researching the miracles in the Torah, and I have come to a conclusion, simple and revolutionary at the same time. The Torah, if well read, teaches us that these are people, the characters in the story that allow miracles to occur. It is close to 20 years that I have been accompanying women who want to have children. A few months ago, the oldest woman I treated gave birth to her first child at the age of 53. Her family also think this is a miracle. I know her well, her soul, her courage and determination, her unwavering wish to bring life, to be a mother. And I tell you today that it is she who allowed the miracle to happen. And Sarah is an amazing example of how woman who teaches us how the miracle happened in her life. How she, a barren old woman who was no longer menstruating, became a mother of a nation. In the second session, I tell Anat Sarah's stories. According to the story, 3 people who are actually angels come to visit Abraham and announce that his wife Sarah is about to have a son. Sarah listened to them, and immediately after, the story continued. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women, and Sarah laughed within herself, saying, "After I am grown old, shall I have a pleasure, my Lord being old also?" I asked Anat what she heard. Anat hears the irony in the text. Anat hears the irony in the text. She says that in her despair, she went to get a blessing from a rabbi. He looked at her and said, "Don't worry, you will have more than one child." Anat thought to herself that she, who worked in a startup company, busy with breakthrough technological processes every day, wanted to believe that what he said would come true. Yet she knew the facts said otherwise. All the doctors she went to left little chance for her to conceive. I invite Anat back to the same place within her that brought her to consider therapy. I would like, she says, that our session connect me to the belief that I, too, can be a mother. In the next session, we focused on Sarah's life journey. Sarah is a pragmatic woman. She follows Abraham on all his travels, and he follows the voice of God. When they settle in the land of Canaan, after many years of wandering, we hear Sarah yearning for a child in her own voice for the first time. Her attempts to give a birth have been unsuccessful, and so she appeals to Abraham to take her maidservant as a surrogate mother. It was the first surrogacy in the human history. Anat is having trouble getting the story. "I am not ready for this stage yet," she says. I invite her to listen to the story further, asking questions that allow Anat to discover that when Sarah hears the message, she laughed in her heart, her laughter focused on the facts. "I'm already really old and worn out, and my husband is not the youngest man in the neighborhood, even though he has a direct connection with God. But how is that supposed to affect the facts?" Anat's eyes filled with tears. "Actually, I too give in to facts. I am too influenced by what the doctor said. So where should I start?" Anat is an engineer, knowledgeable of every detail of the medical procedure she is going through. Her husband is a researcher at one of the most prestigious universities in the country, but she is more dominant. We discussed the possibility that Anat will withdraw from her involvement in the technical details, which from now on will be her husband's role. She will help the medical procedure to the power of imagination to affect the body. In the following sessions, Anat focused on straightening the internal resources that exist within her, strengthening mental resilience that will provide mental support in fertility treatments. In one of the sessions, she shares a moment of deep despair. We observe the thoughts present in these moments. I'm not going to be a mother. I'm just wasting my time. I do not understand why there are women who gave birth easily, whereas I, who desperately want children, am not successful. I invite Anat to pay attention to the thoughts and especially to one word that appears in all of them. Anat smiles sadly and says, "You mean the word not, right?" I tell her how the Torah tells the story of the creation of the world without even once using the word not. Anat realizes that she creates her inner reality through her thoughts. She is invited to rephrase the sentences she tells herself while omitting the word not. She smiles and says, "I long to be a mother, and I'm not, and I'm on my right path to understand what can help me to fulfill my goal." In one of the following sessions, I tell Anat the continuation of Sarah's story. After she laughed, God asked Abraham to check why she laughed. Sarah answer at first seems strange and problematic. However, after rereading a second and a third time, the genius is revealed. And then Sarah denied, saying, "I laugh not," for she was afraid. I ask Anat what she hears when I read the verse. I hear Sarah denial and don't understand her. Why does she deny her laughter? We know she laughed. Sarah does not see the people who come to Abraham as angels. Rather, she sees them as a regular people. It is Abraham who can see them that way. She is a pragmatic and earthly, unlike her husband, the great believer. In order for her to see them as an angels, she needs to enter a state of consciousness of belief like Abraham, which allows for a perspective that is beyond the facts. Her story is characteristic of most stories about realization of human potential in the world. This realization is situated between two poles. One is fate and the other one is actual fact. Sarah, in a rare moment of reckoning, says, "If I want to be really honest with myself, this laughter is actually an expression of fear." Sarah tells us, you have to know that one of the path to realizing your true potential, you use facts in order to hide your fears. This is a moment in the Torah where Sarah teaches us how to create miracles. She realized that Abraham carries with him a quality that it's time for her to embrace, the quality of faith. So she replaced fear with faith, the belief that despite the facts, she will have her own child. The following sessions were about identifying Anat's deep fears and formulating beliefs that would allow her to overcome these fears and raise hope for a possible motherhood. We ended the sessions when she was 16 weeks pregnant. 3.5 years later, she was already a mother of 3 children. Existential psychotherapy is a form of dynamic mental therapy when an individual psychodynamics include the conscious, the unconscious forces, the motives, and the fears that operate within. The inner conflict in one's soul is due to the confrontation between him and the fact of existence. Anat, like biblical Sarah, also lives in a society that hallows childbearing. Parenthood in Israel of 2019 is a part of one identity and is a key component of human meaning and existence. Sarah's story allowed Anat to open up horizons, to observe thoughts, feeling, to imagine, to experience belonging, and to look beyond the narrow realm of the self-experience in its predicament. It is in this space the healing took place and the miracle occurred. Elie Wiesel, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, once said, "When you bring life to the world, you must protect it by changing the world." Anat's journey was filled with courage, determination, and faith that created an inner reality of strength and fertility and brought into the world 3 wonderful children. Thank you, Sarah, the great mother, for allowing us to learn from you, and thank you for listening and attending.